Before you begin with Irish flips, it should be obvious you need to make sure you can no-handed 50-50 well. You don't have to hold it for long, but you have to be able to balance and flip back out cleanly and calmly to the wheels. If you can't control a no-handed 50-50, there's no point carrying on with this video. Thankfully, I've already done a video on those, so if I remember to do it, there'll be a link up there. Go back and watch that, perfect that, then come back to this video and we'll do some Irish flips. So for the Irish flip, you're going to break one of the unwritten rule of no-handed 50-50s. Normally when you get up on the truck, you're going to want to roll outwards, flip that way. With an Irish flip, you're actually going to pull it back on itself. So you're going to get up to here and pull back up with this front foot. Now the reason you don't normally see this with a no-handed 50-50 is because it's kind of the cheap and easy way out. It's a very rookie mistake. And there's a good reason for that I'll show you later on. But that's the way this trick's going to work. You're going to pull the board back end over end and leave this foot underneath. And then this is where the Irish flip comes in. It is a late underflip, kicking upwards to get a full flip and land back on the board there. It sounds a lot harder than it is, so let's break it down. So before we begin with the Irish flip, it'll help if we can get out of the no-handed 50-50 the wrong way. And it really is quite simple. As you pull up onto the truck, you've got to lean back on yourself slightly. And then just do that. That's all there is to it. You're leaning so far out, the board's going to want to go that way anyway. You pull your front foot up and over and just hop off the back foot and get it out the way. There's really not a lot in it. But you'll notice that as I do that, the momentum shift is huge. You're effectively throwing yourself out the back of the board. And that's why this is generally frowned upon as an exit from a no-handed 50-50. So this is where things are going to get a little interesting. You pick the board up and you're balanced on the truck. And then you're going to come out by pulling it end over end as I've just shown you. But here you've got to break an old habit that's pretty deeply ingrained. Because you want to get this foot away from the truck. You're going to want to bring it around, get it away from the board. You've got to tell yourself not to do that. This foot has to stay as low as possible and as close to the board as possible as you pull it over. Because once the board gets to here, you're going to have to lift it up and get a late underflip. That's where the whole trick comes from. Like all late flips, because that's what the Irish flip effectively is, it's a late flip. There are so many ways it can go wrong. You've got to be very precise with the way your foot connects with the board and the direction it goes in. If I kick out in that diagonal, the board should flip quite a lot. It becomes very uncontrollable. If I flip the other way, there's a good chance they could get tangled up in the truck and stop it dead. Or even just kick the board away from me. That's literally this movement. You get stuck on the trucks every time. So you've got to make sure you're coming up in the middle, perfectly straight. Otherwise, you're just going to lose the board. Oh, I've snapped my lace. I was just going to start another clip on another problem you can have with Irish flips, and turns out I've run into an unexpected one. Because of the fact you are dragging the board around so much, you will end up snapping your shoelace. This is why I normally use Kevlar ones, and this time I thought I'd just stick with the stock laces for a little bit. They've lasted a week and they're gone. So I'm going to tie it up, and after this video I'm going to swap back to my Kevlar ones so that they can survive a few more punishing Irish flips, I think. Another problem you're going to run into at least a few times is not having enough time to get the full flip. Because of the fact you're jumping off the back foot, but you're also trying to leave it down below the board, you will do this quite a lot. You've got to really launch yourself upright, launch yourself as high as possible in order to give yourself time to get the flip. Doing that without simultaneously throwing the board off in some random direction is tough. It's going to take time to figure out how to both hop off this back leg and leave it below. If, like me, you don't particularly enjoy the front to back motion of this trick, there is something you can do to change that. What we're going to do is we're going to change the approach. Rather than going to it the same way we've always done a 150-50, we're going to twist the board 90 degrees. So our chest's now facing the nose. The feet do pretty much the same thing. The back foot's going to pull the board over, but instead of pulling straight towards you, it's obviously got to roll through a 180. And that means the front foot, while it still has to stay close to the grip, that's going to spin around here to catch the board. So it's turning through a complete 180 before you get onto it. That makes the backwards throw for the Irish flip feel much cleaner. Also, because the way the board goes end over end into this flip, there's one other place where it works really well, and that's off a rolling no-handed 50-50. Whether I can do it is a different thing. First try. Right, 2 more points before we end this video. First of all, don't for a second think you have to be some sort of truck master to be able to do Irish flips. You really don't. I can't carousel, I can't sidewinder, still haven't learned to butter flip. That sort of stuff doesn't interest me. Irish flips really just need some degree of competency in 950-50s. As long as you can get on that truck and hold it for a split second, you can Irish flip. That's all it takes. However, the second point, your deck design is going to make a huge difference on how easy this is. Rounded ends, they're going to rock this way. You need it to be fairly straight, end over end. A proper freestyle board with a flat at the end, doesn't have to be square, we're not talking like Keith Butterfield style, just something with a flat bit will make this a lot easier. And if you're using a single kick, make sure the flat nose is at the bottom, because you need a kicktail for your front foot to sit on. If that is completely flat, as you pull it back end over end, there's a good chance your front foot's going to slide up and out. As you can see, my kicktails aren't overly steep, but just that little turn there is enough for my foot to hold this comfortably as I pull it back over. Other than that, pretty much any freestyle board will work, so what are you waiting for? Give them a go. So that lace made it 1 week in 1 pair of shoes. That lace has gone 5 months in 3 pairs and is about to end up in this one. I'm not joking around, guys. Buy some bulletproof laces. They work.